Good evening, my dear participant. Once again, we welcome you on behalf of IA Thane branch, DSS Law College. Today, a large number of participants, more than 2,000 participants, has registered for this online webinar, and they are going to get benefited. And as sir, we have seen since last 3 Wednesday, consecutively we are there with DTSS College with one or other resource person, and the number of participants, we always get more than what we are getting the registration. Every time almost double participant is participating for the event because the sessions are so interesting. The speakers speak so effectively. So today we will be having session on session by eminent speaker, Advocate Dr. Kaushik Ojaji. He is an advocate, so it is very rightly stated for someone. जिंदगी सड़क की तरह है, जिंदगी सड़क की तरह है, यह कभी सीधी नहीं होती, यह कभी सीधी नहीं होती, कुछ दूर के बाद मोड़ अवश्य आता है, कुछ दूर के बाद मोड़ अवश्य आता है, इसलिए धैर्य से चलते रहिए, इसलिए धैर्य से चलते रहिए, आपकी जिंदगी का सुखद मोड़ आपका इंतजार कर रही है. Law is giving you such kind of situation in your life that it is of course lengthy, but definitely the outcome is always fruitful. We have seen so many justice which is remarkable, but it took time. So with this note, I will request our mentor, our own principal, Dr. M.S. Kurade sir. He was ex-registrar University of Mumbai. He got Best Principal Award. He was ex-dean University of Mumbai. He is right now director for Sanskar Surgeons Education Society and is the principal of DTSS Law College. And moreover, he is mentor for many of us, including Arvind sir, including me. He has made many people, and we are really very glad that sir is still giving us guidance. So, sir, without wasting much of time, we request your words of wisdom. Over to you, Kurade sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Arvind Luhar, Dr. Nishikantha, today's eminent speaker, Dr. Kaushik Oza, our management member, Dr. Geeta Madam, and all the participants. I welcome all of you for today's webinar on the role of judiciary and the role of Constitution of India. Actually, Constitution of India, it is the mirror of all of us. Everybody can say what are our rights, what are our duties, what exactly we should do. To the other side, the judiciary is there, which is all the time giving the interpretation what exactly is reflected in our constitution. When we look at the history of constitution, we can see that right from, of course, 1930, Sir John Simon in 1930 drafted some articles, some points, but there was the reaction on part of all the citizens of this nation. And therefore, in 1930-31, there was a round table conference in United Kingdom. Some arguments, counter arguments took place. And its repercussions. In 1932, Pune Pact has taken place, and everybody knows the dialogues which has taken place in between Mahatma Gandhi and Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. In 1935, Government of India Act was passed. and later on, Cripps mission took place in 1942, and there was a discontentment of the Cripps mission, and therefore, throughout India, people started saying, acting as a Quit India movement. All the people, they were deadly against of the British rule, and it is because of that the people, they have come together. They were demanding that we want justice, we want independence, and therefore the then Prime Minister of United Kingdom in 1945, Mr. Attlee, he declared that yes, we will do justice with the Indian people, and therefore we have got the independence on 15th of August 1947. Everybody knows it. But since our speaker, who has done his post graduation in political system of America, he knew the presidential format of the American government, and who knew the parliamentary system of India. He has done his PhD on Justice Al Warren, Chief Justice Al Warren of United States of America. He was the Chief Justice. Dr. Kaushik, he has written his thesis on the judicial philosophy of America. Of course, that philosophy, which was influenced by the then Chief Justice Al Warren of America, he has got a command on that. He knew the system, and therefore he has represented India in Austria in 1989 and 1997. Who knew that actually side by side the psychological effects also. And I knew that his interest in Robin Sharma, his interest in Covey's philosophy, his interest in Coleridge, and therefore he became the master trainer to the executives, those who are working in the corporates. When I say so, when I was discussing with him, I was remembering the history of America also, where the independence war has taken place there during 1775 to 1783. And later on, Abraham Lincoln, to whom we salute, I mean, the whole world it salutes to him. It is because of his Emancipation Proclamation Act 1863, because he was the president of United States of America during 1861 to 65. Great one work which who has done there. And on the basis of that, when we look at the Constitution of India, we say that it is the gift to the Indian people, where everybody can see that what exactly we are doing there. When we say that everything, either it may be the state and center's relationship, it may be about any article, it may be the fundamental rights, it may be there the civil, of course, the services, Union Public Service Commission, it may be the State Service Commission, or it may be any other type of the activities which are going on. Everything, it comes according to the articles which are in the Constitution of India. But of course, for that purpose, the committee it was constituted under the chairmanship of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, along with his other 6 colleagues, members. He has drafted the new constitution, and he has presented it to the then Constituent Assembly on 26th of November 1949. Constituent Assembly has accepted that new constitution, which was prepared by Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, and it was signed by the then President of Constituent Assembly, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, and it has come in force on 26th of January 1950. And therefore, the Republic Day, which is of course celebrated throughout India on 26th of January 1950. My point is that on the basis of the philosophy of the Constitution of India, we are united. We have got the platform. We are always talking about the justice. We are talking about the equality. We are talking about the brotherhood. We are talking about the freedom of the expression, freedom of thoughts, everything we are talking there. And it is because of that, our development, which you can see there. It is a wonderful one gift which we have got there. And on that, Dr. Kaushik is going to speak. As I said, that who has got the command, who knew the ins and outs, who knew the principles of the Constitution of India, how it has been made there, how the efforts are put forth there. And of course, because of that, we are getting the fruits. We are, of course, enjoying the life. It is because of the Constitution, which is protecting everybody, whether you are from the urban area or whether you are from the rural area, whether you are rich or poor, we are equal one. And of course, this is not only applicable to this nation only. The whole world appreciate their what exactly the content of Constitution of India. It is true on that line. It is because of that only. There are many such type of organizations, those who are of course working on that line. Best example is Indian Accounting Association, where of course Dr. Arvind is the chairman and Dr. Nishikant is the secretary. His colleagues, their colleagues are there side by side. Of course, many other organizations like Samskar Sarjan Education Society, where actually just now you can see Dr. Geeta Malkan, who is representing Samskar Sarjan Education Society, those who are working at the ground level. The intention is that let us do something for the betterment of our community, betterment of this nation, betterment of the humanity. The whole world, it has come on the same platform. It may be because of the scientific development, it may be the technological development, it may be our development, where this development, it will be leading us towards the betterment, where we want everything for the betterment of all the people. And it is because of that only we are here. Here we are exchanging our ideas, exchanging our thoughts. And of course, it is because of that we remember the greatest leaders on this earth, those who have put forth their efforts one to bring the peace in the world, to bring the prosperity in the world. And naturally, it is because of that only we are here. We are interacting with each other, and naturally, as I was telling you, which is a wonderful one gift which we have got there in the form of the Constitution of India, where everybody is trying to reflect themselves in that and to get something. But how to give the interpretation? How judiciary work there, how the amendments are taking place. Through all this process, naturally, where the democratic process which is followed there, and we are the part of that process, and of course, that process which is going to lead us to the best of our life. That much only I can say that. And of course, as I wanted to mean here, Samskar Sarjan Education Society, Indian Accounting Association, and like, of course, the speakers like Dr. Kaushik and many other, of course, the speakers, those who have come on this platform, they are giving with their best one, but exactly they have got the knowledge, their information. And I'm sure that the benefit is going to get to all the participants. And a part of that also, we want to make the people more wise and wise to get more and more benefit to everybody. And for that, the intellectuals, the teachers, the best people, they should come together and they should interact with each other. After taking much of your time, once again, I welcome all of you. And of course, Mike, I will hand over to
Thank you very, very much, sir, for your word of wisdom. You are always inspiring us. And now we will request representative from Sanskar Sarjan Education Society, Geeta ma'am, to put forward her message to all the participants.
In this silent session. Thank you, on behalf of Sarkar Surgeon Education Society, Beautiful evening in the presence of esteemed speaker, the organizers of some of the inspiring values of my good. And invest to navigate, invest and of course, there are no schools. Yeah, where
निशिकांत ठीक है आगे का सेशन स्टार्ट करते हैं मैडम का
Yes, yes,
कनेक्टिविटी इज वेरी पुअर द इंटरनेट
yes.
कनेक्टिविटी इज पुअर यस
And sound is also not coming. What to do, Kurade sir? Can we proceed further?
Will do. Will do.
Let Arvind sir put his remark, and then again we'll
Yeah.
try Geeta ma'am to. Okay.
Oh,
Thank you for your permission, sir. Thank you very much. My dear participant, now we will request Chairman IAS Thane branch, who is also Chairman Board of Studies Accountancy, University of Mumbai. He is uh, MPhil and PhD guide, University of Mumbai. He has more than 3 decades experience of teaching and administration.
society.
And he is always guiding force. Today, whatever we are achieving, we are always getting the guidance from Kurade sir, Arvind sir, and he is also a lawyer, even though he is not practicing, and he has a very vast knowledge. He has a PG degree in more than 2 3 programs, journalism, management, so many so forth. Sir, you are really guiding force for all of us. We would definitely going to hear a keynote speech from Dr. Arvind Luhar sir. Over to you, sir.
okay thank you dr nisikant jha general secretary indian accounting association in absentia dr kuldeep sharma general secretary sorry the treasurer indian accounting association thane chapter and my mentor dr ms kurare sir principal dtss law college and the director of Sanskar Surgeon Education Society and the administrator and advisor to the all academician of the University of Mumbai since last more than 40 years. And our today's resource person, Sri Kaushik sir, and the trust member, Dr. Geeta Malkan madam from Sanskar Education Society. Uh, since we have already introduced Indian Accounting Association for so many time, so I will not this thing explain or I will give the briefing about the Indian Accounting Association every time because all those who are listening, they are well versed with the branding of the Indian Accounting Association in the present context. Since the Kaushik sir is the first time on the dais of the webinar of the Indian Accounting Association and the DTSS College. So, Kaushik sir, I would like to bring your kind notice that Indian Accounting Association Thane chapter during the COVID period we have organized more than 30 programs and I believe that we have able to reach to more than the 30,000 participants, including the teachers and the students all over the country and even from the abroad also. So that is the reach of the Indian Accounting Association. Even today also, the more than 2,500 the participant, including the teachers from arts, commerce, science, education, law, and the students, and even the many advocates also they are listening the today's program, because in Mumbai there is one the advocates group, that is the name called as a graduate intellectual. So there are 256 the advocates, the practicing advocates, even from the abroad, from India, and the particularly the Mumbai. They are in the Supreme Court and the Mumbai High Court, City Civil Court, MAT, etc., etc. And sir, I would like to bring your kind notice that I am also a law graduate, and my specialization at LLB was the taxation and the banking and insurance and the intellectual property right. I did my LLB from Jitendra Chauhan Law College, Vileparle, Mumbai, and in my LLM, my specialization was the Indian Constitution, where we have studied the Constitution of the England, Australia, America, India, and what is the process of this thing behind the preparation of the Indian Constitution that I have studied in my the LLM. No doubt, I am a teacher of accountancy. My basic qualification is a this thing MCom accountancy and a PhD in accounting. As the Nishikant have said that I have the MA journalism also, and the MBA in human resource management also. So we are a teacher. So I believe that we should be the multi-versatile, because after the COVID, now the what next task and the responsibility we people will get, we don't know. But I can tell you one thing. I completed my LLB in 2008. I started in 2005. So what was my purpose behind going for the LLB degree? Because see, whenever I come across with the teachers, so I find that they were having the so many the litigation, and they were having the so many the problems in the technical aspects of their the service matters. And even this thing I was also facing the so many this thing issues in my the academic the service and all. So I decided that why not we should be well equipped in terms of the law and the legal content which is related to our profession. So I enrolled for LLB in 2005. Actually, my target was to enroll in LLB. It was in the 97. It was in 97. But when I approached the college, so I came to know that it is the evening college. So they have also taken on undertaking from us that uh, some judgments are pending. So the evening degree, whether it will be eligible or not. So I revoked. Then again in 2005, I enrolled. If in 97 I would have been enrolled for LLB, then I would not have been a teacher. Then I might be this in the advocate today. And see, to do all this legal practice, it was my deep desire. So since I am working in a government, so the government cases I look after. I prepare the briefing. I prepare the affidavits. I look after the court cases in the Maharashtra Administrative Tribunal, then the City Civil Court, then the High Court. So we prepare all affidavit only. The government pleader, they do the finalization of all these things. I look after the RTI also in my the institute. Means I really enjoyed, because two jobs you cannot do together. The law means you cannot be a lawyer and a teacher. So even though I am not a lawyer, but I am a teacher, but in my organization, I got all these opportunity to sharpen my skill. So in future, suppose if I become any administrator, if I get any administrative responsibility, assume that principal of any college or the joint director. This thing recently I have got the opportunity of the joint director higher education. So that is the process is so in that this thing meantime I was supposed to join, and the COVID had started. So now let's see what is in the future. So my ultimate purpose is what? In all aspects of the life, whether we are working, whether we are the businessman, whether we are a student, whether we are a housewife, the whatever we are, ignorance of law has no excuse. because by every now and then, by our every conduct, by our every act, we enter into the contract with the third party. When we go for even the purchase and sale, so we enter into a contract. Even today, when we are live on webinar, by default, even though there is no written agreement between us, but by default, there are some the rules and regulations which are governing us. It may be the IT Act, it may be the IPR Act, it may be that we cannot this thing malign the image of the any person by our content, context, and our intention. So that we have to take care. So the whenever the resource person, the teachers, the principals, even the any organization, whenever they are coming, they have to follow the certain protocols. These protocols are nothing but the rules and regulation. So see, one cannot be the law degree holder, but no one have deprived, or we can say no one has stopped to learn the content and context of the Indian Constitution. So everybody, all those who are, whether a student, whether a teacher, whether a principal, whether the housewife, this thing, whatever you are, you must have the understanding of the Indian Constitution. Because as an individual, we cannot be well versed with all rules and regulation. We cannot be well versed with the CRPC, the CPC, Indian Dowry Act, then the Indian IPR Act. We cannot. But if we go through the contents of the Indian Constitution, because it is the mother of all the law. So if we, at least we remember the fundamentals of the Indian Constitution, then whether it is any law, at least the by and large, we can give the natural justice if we are in a power to the receiving and the people. So the mother of all the law is the natural law, and out of the natural law, it is the constitution, and out of the constitution, all laws are there, all acts are there, all the circulars, all your the notifications, all your GR, because the no legal documents of the nation can supersede the Indian Constitution. So if you people, all our audience, they are today from the Jammu and Kashmir till Kanyakumari, and from the Kutch and Bhuj to Meghalaya, Kolkata, Lucknow, even today participants, they are from Dubai, Africa, and some are from Singapore also, because we can see means when they join. So today, the Kaushik sir, the participant, with great hope, they want to eagerly listen to you. So with my these words, now I request Dr. Nishikant Jha to take the charge in his hand and proceed further.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your kind words. And it was indeed a real keynote. We got to know that mother of all law is Indian Constitution. But we would request, and we are really sorry for the technical glitches due to which Geeta ma'am could not able to put forward her message, which is very much required. Ma'am, we all are associated with this DTSS college since here. I am the proud visiting faculty of MPhil. I am the guide in your college in MPhil, and we know how effectively this particular education society is serving, real serving to the society. Ma'am, we would definitely like to hear from you some of the activities conducted by the society. Over to you, Geeta ma'am.
Thank you so much, and I hope now you all can hear me. Is it audible?
Yes, madam.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Perfect. Perfect.
Fine. Good evening, one and all. At the outset, I would like to pray to the divine for the well-being of each soul in this pandemic situation. Thank you, Dr. Nishikant. Thank you, Dr. Kurade. On behalf of Sanskar Surgeon Education Society, I, Mrs. Geeta Malkan, welcome you all for today's webinar on the role of Judiciary and Constitution of India. Friends, on this beautiful evening, in the presence of esteemed speaker Dr. Kaushik Oza, Principal Dr. M.S. Khurade, organizers of Indian Institute of Chartered Accountants, and all the learned listeners, I'm tempted to share some inspiring memories of my childhood. Way back in 1964, in the western suburbs of Mumbai, an area named Kurar village existed in dark without electricity, water supply, roads, and of course, there were no schools. People residing in this area were economically underprivileged. In those days, couple of like-minded people came together with a noble idea to start a Gujarati medium school as the area had Gujarati dominated population. The school was started in a rented premises with one classroom, one teacher, and 21 students. Next year, one more standard was added, and school ran in two shifts. As the year progressed, difficulties increased. Constraint of space, funds, permission from education department, and many more. In this difficult period, there came a Masiha, Sri Dhiradlal Talakchand Shah, an industrialist with a generous heart. He donated 2 acres of plot of his Bengal factory and with his co-workers, Sri Pranlal Majlani, Sri Ramanbhai Patel, Sri Natubai Shah, Sri Gulabhai Shah, and Sri Sharadbhai Patel, created a monument named JDT High School. Sri Sharadbhai Patel is currently president of Sanskar Sarjan Education Society. I quote Nelson Mandela: education is the most powerful weapon we can use to change the world. The goal of organization from inception was of holistic education and community development. Today, 8,000 students take education from KG to post-graduation and PhD. Almost 1,75,000 students have successfully completed their education in past 56 years. I feel delighted to inform you all that today Sri Prafulbhai Shah, son of Sri Dhirubai, is Vice President and he is joined by his son Pareen, who is the Secretary of the organization, and his daughter Krupali, who is a dynamic management committee member. We have Gujarati and English medium school, junior college, science and commerce stream, degree college with BCom, BBI, BSc BMS, and BAF. We have postgraduate courses in MSc MCom, accounts, and MCom business, and MPhil and PhD. The latest feather in the cap is DTS's College of Law. Our committed teaching and non-teaching staff under the able leadership of Dr. Kurade has won many accolades from state government of Maharashtra and University of Mumbai. Best Teacher Award was conferred upon 3 teachers by state government, and Best College Award was given in year 2017-18. Principal M.S. Khurade was honored with Best Principal Award in year 2018-19. Friends, I will shortly inform you about the various schemes run for the welfare of students by our organization. Late Shri Gitesh Majlani Annapurna Scheme. As many students hail from economically underprivileged families, they have to work along with their studies. Some of them go to distribute newspapers early in the morning, or clean the cars, or do some domestic jobs. They come to college even without a morning cup of tea. Under the Annapurna scheme, these children are provided with breakfast and tea daily. We also have book bank scheme, meritorious scholarships, scholarships to economically weaker students, earn and learn scheme, uniform and book distribution scheme, financial help to needy students, and our NSS wing and Rotary Club of our college is very, very active in social projects. Blood donation drive and medical projects are done very regularly since many years. Friends, with this, I thank you all on behalf of Managing Committee of Sanskar Surgeon Education Society for joining this webinar. Thank you all.
Thank you very
Over
much,
to
ma'am. Thank you very much. It was indeed very much required. And we are witnessing this education society, how effectively they are working. And today, whatever we are, I think the seed of it has been incepted in your college only. Years back, when we started giving sessions, free session on Sundays, it was Principal Kurade who has given us permission, and we conducted so many session for the faculties free of cost. Sir has so generous, your society was so generous. We were not charging single penny. Still, he used to give us after the session some snacks to the participant. Whereas we always used to mention, we are not going to charge anything. We are not going to provide anything. Still, sir, he was so generous. He used to always give certificates. He used to give, some snacks to them. We are really obliged, and today we are growing like anything. More than lakhs of participants got the benefit from us in this pandemic, and it was his idea. Today we are growing not only in India, across the globe. Thank you very much for giving such a platform, and thank you very, very much for giving such a effective intellectual mentor for us, Dr. MS Kurade, sir. Without wasting more of time, we are going to have the eminent personality amongst us, Kaushik M. Ojaji. He has done MA in American political system, PhD on the topic of the judicial philosophy of late Chief Judicial Warren of USA. He was associated with Georgetown University, Washington, D.C., and US Supreme Court. Twice he represented India at Swinsburg Seminar, Austria in 1989 and 97. Respectively, former VP of David Session Library in 154 years US World Heritage Site, member of NGO Human Rights Action Group, registered NGO of Mumbai Corporation. He is corporate trainer, in-house training program for last 30 years, special interest in psychology, and he's also observer of US Supreme Court, was very close with late Justice William Ginsburg at his age of 64, and many more feather on his cap. Sir, your presence is going to make today's session a big difference, and sir has rightly stated that Indian Constitution is mother of all law. Sir, and we are really thankful on behalf of DTSS Law College, on behalf of IA Thane branch, and all the participants who is going to listen now and who is going to listen in future also, because this video will be available forever and ever to them. Sir, over to you, Advocate Dr. Kaushik M. Ojaji. Thank you, sir.
Very good evening to one and all. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Principal Kurade sir, IAS, ma'am, and my sister in particular, Dr. Rashmi Ozab, who introduced me to Kurade sir. About Kurade sir, I would like to say one thing. His wisdom is fashioned from experience. He is candid yet cautious, firm yet decisive, and it is always joy talking to him. Now, my friends, I would like to tell you one thing. I will try to be impartial and honest because for me, impartiality is a dream and honesty a duty. I would I have tried my best to match my logic with my reasoning, with rational. So I start my lecture. My talk today is dedicated to we, the people of India, who gave unto themselves the constitution but not the ability to keep it, who inherited a resplendent heritage but not the wisdom to cherish it, who suffer and endure in patience without the perception of their potential. Dear friends, just keep it in mind the Constitution is not a structure of fossils like a coral reef, and it is not intended merely to enable politicians to play their unending game of power. It is meant to hold the country together when the raucous and the fractious voices of today are lost in the silence of the centuries. In all the larger shaping of a life, there is a plan already into which one has no choice but to fit. I would also like to dedicate today's talk to we, the nation, our India, which is very, very, very important. Friends, I would like you to recollect what Max Muller had said about India. I quote him, if I were to look back over the whole world to find out the country most richly endowed with all the wealth, power, and beauty that nature can bestow, in some parts a very paradise on earth, I should point to India. I were asked under what sky the human mind has most fully developed some of its choicest gifts, has most deeply pondered on the greatest problems of life, and has found solutions of some of them which well deserve the attention even of those who have studied Plato and Kant, I should point to India. And if I were to ask myself, from what literature we here in Europe, we who have been nurtured almost exclusively on the thoughts of Greeks and Romans and of one Semitic race, the Jewish, may draw the corrective which is most wanted in order to make our inner life more perfect, some comprehensive, more universal, in fact, more truly human, a life not for this life only, but transfigured and eternal life. Again, I should point to India. Dr. Arnold Toynbee was very right when he said, it is already becoming clear that a chapter which had a Western beginning will have to have an Indian ending. It is not an end in the self-destruction of the human race. At this supremely dangerous moment in human history, the only way of salvation for mankind is the Indian way. Emperor Ashoka and Mahatma Gandhi's principle of non-violence, Sri Ramakrishna's testimony to the harmony of religion, here we have an attitude and spirit that can make it possible for the human race to grow together into the single family in the atomic age. This is the only alternative to destroying ourselves. My friends, now let us come to the Constitution. Justice Joseph Story gave us a beautiful hint of the future when he said, the Constitution has been read for immortality. If the work of man may just, if work of man justly aspire to such a little, It may nevertheless perish in an hour by the folly or the corruption or negligence of its people, only its keeper, the people. When I will talk of the judiciary, it will be retrospectively and prospectively. And my views, at times you may see the contradiction in my views, but that is the demand of time and circumstances. Today, the judiciary is often an accelerator of government rather than a brake. The attitude of the judiciary deciding what to decide is a dangerous trend. Constitutions are not ephemeral documents designed to meet passing occasions. The future is their care, and therefore, in their application, our contemplation cannot only be of what has been, but of what may be. Prospectively, looking at our present apex code and its working, my conviction has become strong and certain of an imperial judiciary. It is imperial and exceedingly dangerous because it is active and unchecked in its ability to be the creator, the designer of a new social policy. It has the unhindered ability not simply to prevent legislative acts but to govern affirmatively outside the boundaries of either the checks and balances or democratic elections. Unlike the older activist court, the present judiciary is not anti-legislative, but it is self-legislative in the fullest sense, creating categories of expectations and entitlement, ordering the expenditures of great sums of revenue, creating a new rights and them new sanctions. In sum, the courts have assumed an active role in shaping our society. I, for one, dissent and resent with the present attitude of the judiciary. I outrightly reject the notion that the court should be in the business of fashioning substantive principles out of the common language of the Constitution. I oppose tooth and nail the views regarding the moral sanctity of the court and the illiberal nature of majority rule. My friends, in today's time and circumstances, the logic and rationale of the great dissenter in the Warren Court, Justice John Marshall Harlan, is very true. What he said, the Constitution is not a panacea for every blot upon the public welfare, nor should this court ordained as a judicial body be thought of a general heaven for reform movement. It is more valid and appropriate. My friends, we are now at the point where we must decide whether to honor the concepts of a plural society which gains strength through diversity, or whether we are to have bitter fragmentation that will result in the perpetual tension and strife. This is one of the most important challenges before our judiciary. See, two very, very important issues that come before the court and which very often the court is confused is rightness of the cause and the reasonableness of the cause. What happens when you are right, you are not reasonable, and when you are reasonable, you are not right. So what is required is you have to do the proper balancing. Now, coming to the chief architect of our constitution. This is very, very, very important, my friends. We talk about the constitution, but we should also know what happened during the Constituent Assembly, what situation took place, what arguments took place, what was the debate all about. Dr. Bhimrao R. Ambedkar, the chief architect of our constitution, I have very often wondered, even he could have been made the first prime minister of free India. that could have solved many of the problems that we have been facing today. Retrospectively, in his youth, he had burned a copy of the laws of Manu, the legendary Brahminic lawgiver whose ancient decree was said to have created caste order. Now he was not about to waste the chance to subvert that order by pressing into the constitution the most whipping system of affirmative action anywhere in the world. He is the man who wrote the constitution to India's politicians. He is a public emblem, both of how far we have come in addressing the blight of the caste and how central the state and the politics are to that rectification. I would also like to inform you that our David Sassoon Library, 154-year-old library, UNESCO World Heritage Site status, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar has written the final draft of the Constitution in our library. And very often when he was tired, I'm talking about 46, 47, 45, 46, 47, and very often when he was tired, he used to cross the road. Across the road, there was one hotel called Bayside Inn, and he used to go there and have a cup of tea. So I'm really, really very happy that I belong to that library where the chief architect wrote the final draft of the Constitution. And when the draft of the Constitution was put up before final draft, Dr. Ambedkar raised his voice and said, "This is not my Constitution." He was sophisticated, long-sighted constitutional collaborator whose interest extended beyond the caste to the very structure and psychology of Indian democracy. I would regard him, Dr. Ambedkar, as India's Tocqueville, not in aristocratic background, of course, but as a critic of the ancient regime, realistic enough to know that even a serious assault upon that regime, the introduction of democracy, the creation of a new legal order, would still leave alive the insidious limbs of past history, ready to nudge political action and policy away from their intended goals. When drafting the Constitution of India, his conviction became strong and firm that it was built on a foundation of oppression rooted far deeper than the political rule of the British Raj. To quote, all have a grievance against the highest and would like to bring about that downfall, but they will not combine. The higher is anxious to get rid of the highest, but does not wish to combine with the high. The low would not make a common cause with the lower. Each class being privileged, every class is interested in maintaining the system. Very, very important point to be noted is like the reunion achieved by the American Civil War, 1861 to 65. The Constitution Ambedkar helped to draft marked not the end of a story, but the beginning of a history involving the pursuit of still out of which democratic equality. Unfortunately, Dr. Ambedkar lived only 6 years beyond the promulgation of the Constitution in January 1950. We are going to enter a life of contradictions. Dr. Ambedkar famously said, closing the debates of the Constitutional Assembly in December 1949, how can people divided into several thousands of castes be a nation? Without fraternity, Ambedkar reminded his fellow Indians, equality and liberty will be no deeper than coats of paint. I personally feel history has not done justice to a man of the stature of Dr. Ambedkar. The most important words inscribed in the Constitution of India is equality before law and equal opportunity. Equality before law is the very foundation of a republic, and equal opportunity is the very foundation of the social justice. But equality is achieved only in the graveyard. I confirm and reaffirm my firm conviction that if it is not the Constitution, that it is not the Constitution which has failed, but the people, but it is our chosen representatives who have failed the Constitution. Dr. Ambedkar poignantly remarked in the Constituent Assembly that if the Constitution which was given by the people unto themselves in November 1949 did not work satisfactorily at any future time, we would have to say that not the Constitution had failed, but the man was veiled. I would like to narrate here two stories. Now you have to decide what is the Constitution. It is a satire, the people and the judiciary. Okay, I would like to just narrate two stories. There was a man in America. There was a man in America who thought his wife is deaf. So he went to a doctor and told doctor what is to be done. My wife is deaf. She does not listen. So doctor said, okay, do one thing. When you go home today, stand at the distance of 6 feet and ask her something. If she does not reply, subsequently reduce the distance and ask the same question. The man said, okay. That evening, when he went home, at the distance of 6 feet, he asked his wife, honey, what's for the dinner? There was no reply. It is understood, once if we ask someone and if there is no reply, it's okay. We may think that he or she must have not heard it. He reduced the distance to 5 feet and asked the same question. Again, there was no reply. He reduced the distance to 4 feet and again asked the same question, honey, what's for the dinner tonight? There was no reply. Then he was angry. He reduced the distance to 3 feet and asked again, no reply. And then to 2 feet, and again there was no. Now he was very, very. What the hell is this? She does not listen. 5 times I have been asking her, what's for dinner tonight? He just read. He just reduced the distance to 1 feet and shouted, honey, what's for the dinner tonight? Again, there was no reply. Now he just thought, what the hell is this? He just went behind her and asked, honey, what's for the dinner tonight? And the pet came the reply, I James, I told you for the 6th time, chicken. See the moral of the story, you can make out what is the moral of the story. Okay, we very often think the man thought that his wife is deaf. In fact, he was deaf, right? Okay, then one more story I would like to share with you, which is it is a satire. In the ancient China, there was a school, we call it Gurukul. There was a teacher by name Confucius. In that school, there was a rule that on the last day of the examination, any student can take the test of his teacher. So when the last day came, Confucius wished all his students very bright future, and they were about to leave the school. He asked the students, any one of you have any question? And there was one naughty, notorious boy. He said, sir, I have a question. Confucius said, okay, you can ask me, what is your question? The boy said, sir, can you wait for a minute? Confucius said, okay. The boy went near the bush, got hold of a baby sparrow, in his palm and covered his left hand with the right hand. He came to his teacher with the intention, and he thought that today I'm going to prove my teacher wrong. So he asked, "Sir, can you tell me whether a small bird, baby sparrow, in my hand is dead or alive?" The teacher started laughing. The boy said, "Sir, why are you laughing?" Teacher said, "The answer is so easy. It's very easy." The boy said, "Really? Do you think so?" Teacher said, "Yes." The boy thought, if my teacher says that the bird in my hand is alive, I will just crush it with my palm and it will be dead. And if he says that it is dead, then I will just open my palm and the bird will fly away. Confucius told, "My dear student, the answer to your question lies in your own hand." This is also a satire and a good story. Now, one thing, when we are talking about the judiciary, when we are talking about the constitution, you should keep it in mind one thing. There is a mighty big difference between the good reasons, sound reasons, and the reasons, good reasons, sound reasons, and reasons that sound good. My friends, in my research of so many years, for 7.5 years, I did my research. The one conclusion which I have come across is, for the judiciary should attune itself not to the weather of the day, but to the climate of the age. Judiciary should attune itself not to the weather of the day, but to the climate of the age. Judiciary should always take into consideration the felt necessities of time. My friends, J.S. Mill, in his book on liberty, said, "No slumber is deeper than that of a deep-seated desire. No slumber is deeper than that of a deep-seated desire. Man can gain only by disturbing it." The present attitude, now let us prospectively, I come prospectively. The present attitude of the judiciary, when I say judiciary, I'm talking about apex court, is what Charles Ivan Hughes said during Franklin Roosevelt's era. He was the chief justice. We are under the Constitution. We are under the Constitution, but the Constitution is what the judge say it is. My due apology to Charles Ivan Hughes. The power of judicial review, the power of judicial review, basic structures are also very, very important aspects of the Constitution. My support to judicial activism and judicial restraint, that is substantive theory of jurisprudence and process theory of jurisprudence, is will vary from court to court and from time to time. But I firmly believe, and I never ever compromise on certain basic beliefs which I hold true. Judicial duty is heightened when other checks prove to be ineffective. The court cannot be blind to the fundamental injustice. It is left with no alternative but to step in. There is a overall wide acceptability, I would say consensus, and firmly support a simple doctrine of judicial finality. A notion that court is the last word in the constitutional government, that it is the constitutional activities is not to be checked or externally restricted. Supreme Court's activity of constitutional construction is properly sheltered from the reciprocal oversight of other branches. We are not final because we are infallible, goes Justice Robert Jackson's oft-quoted aphorism. We are infallible because we are final. The decisions of the court has to take into consideration the felt necessities of time. American Constitution, which is more than 250 years old, when the Constitution was framed in Philadelphia at Liberty Hall, the founding fathers were coming out. The founding fathers were coming out, and one of the passerby asked one of the founding father, Alexander Hamilton, Sir, what did we get? And Alexander Hamilton replied, a republic if you can keep it. A republic if you can keep it. When I say comparative constitution of both the countries, I mean the hallmark features of the both the countries is it begins with we the people. Both the countries, both the constitution are very suspicious of the power vested in any one branch. American constitution today is more than 250 years old, but still very vibrant and full of life. When the Constitution was written and finally approved at the Liberty Hall, Philadelphia, it was they were very apprehensive about the concentration of power, so they made the provision of checks and balances and the separation of powers. The founding fathers of the American Constitution were very much impressed by the diction of Lord Acton, who said, power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Overall review and study of the Constitution reveals founding fathers of both the countries were very suspicious of concentration of power in any one branch. So they specifically made the provisions of separation of powers and introduced the doctrine of checks and balances. Now, my friends, I have always wondered that the best part of the American Constitution is 22nd Amendment. Franklin Roosevelt was the last president who ruled the country for 12 years. He was also elected for the fourth term, but people said no. They introduced 22nd Amendment in the American Constitution that no person can serve for more than two consecutive terms. So I'm a staunch supporter of 22nd Amendment type of amendment in our Constitution. No person can rule the country for more than two consecutive terms. Coming to our Constitution, we have borrowed heavily from UDHR, Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Our Constitution Assembly member B.N. Rao was specifically advised when the debate was going on. Mr. B.N. Rao, one of the members of the Constituent Assembly, went to America and met the Supreme Court Justice Felix Frankfurter. Frankfurter specifically advised him that please see that you don't insert the clause due process of law. Instead, you should go for procedure established by law. So B.N. Rao, when he came back and there was an agreement, and perhaps it is my guess, I'm not sure, Dr. Ambedkar opposed the clause of procedure established by law. He was in favor of due process of law. I would like to avoid any controversies, but the recent unhealthy trend really disturbs me. That is, the parliamentary supremacy has been time and again forced to surrender to judicial supremacy. Why every act of government passed in the parliament needs approval and clean sheet from our judiciary? High time to define and specify what is the basic structure by the full bench. Our constitution is silent on many great and important issues. The 42nd Amendment, the 38, 39, and 42nd Amendment, and the then law. These amendments came immediately after the Allahabad High Court judgment, where Justice Sinha gave judgment against the then Prime Minister. So 39, 38, 39, and 42nd Amendment immediately came after that, and that was a conspiracy hatched by the then government to curb the powers of judiciary and to prove the parliamentary supremacy. The then law minister, I would like to name him, the then law minister, Mr. Haribhau Gokhale, H.R. Gokhale, are blot. I'm a bit outspoken, I'm a bit bold, are blot on our democracy. I'm also critical of the role of governors of different states. They have been made glorified servants of the center. We all know who is responsible for that. My friends, I always become very emotional. I always become little excited whenever I mention. Few days back, we celebrated the 44th anniversary of ADM Jabalpur versus Shiv Shankar Shukla, the famous habeas corpus case of human rights. Majority of the judges surrendered and sold their conscience to the then government under duress. They agreed and approved the wish of the government to abridge the basic fundamental rights. It was a cold-blooded murder of democracy, as it was democracy was put into ventilator. The one and only judge who dissented was Justice H.R. Khanna, who made a history, who made a history and kept democracy alive. Our constitution at that time was defaced and defiled. 37 years after the judgment, late Mr. Justice Bhagwati came out and gave public apology. It is good on his part to give public apology. He said that I really made a mistake by joining the majority of the judges in ADN Jabalpur, because he's admitted that he was ambitious and he wanted to become the chief justice and he wanted to be in the good books of the then government. But giving public apology, what's the use, my friends? Harm is already done. It is high time we make certain constitutional amendments. The vexing problems and the issues which we are facing in the present times, Constitution is in the end a fragile, cohesive document. Anything done in the name of expediency may prove fatal and may lead to crisis. Our constitution has to be very specific about the electoral reforms, religious freedoms, the working of the parliamentary system of government, code of conduct for elective representatives, etc. It should be indestructible union of indestructible states. Why I am mentioning this? Because at the time of civil war, President Abraham Lincoln had to declare that many of the states wanted to separate from United States, but it was mentioned by the then President Abraham Lincoln, and again it was inscribed in the Constitution that our union is indestructible union of indestructible states. Now, my friends, the present trend of some of the states is very disturbing. I am talking about our country. The present trend of some of the states is very disturbing. I see the secessionist activities, attitude on the part. Very often I fear, God forbid, we may meet the fate of USSR, which became Russia. The Constitution of India does not permit, the Constitution of India does not permit any state to pass the resolution, any state to pass the resolution against the law passed by the parliament with two-third majority. I am in particular referring to CAA, Article 370, Article 35A. It is a bad precedent as it may often raise the question of patriotism and loyalty to the country. Please try to understand me in the right perspective. With open mind, we should not force for any provisions of the Constitution to bring into fundamental rights which are not enforceable in any court of law. My friends, it is the duty of the judges of the higher courts setting aside their ambition and lucrative future to interpret the laws and not to read in between the lines. The present trend of legislating, now I am talking about prospectively the present attitude of the judiciary. The present trend of legislating rather than interpreting the laws by the higher judiciary is a dangerous trend. The present trend of legislating rather than interpreting the laws by the higher judiciary is a dangerous trend. I repeat, nobody has got any blanket right to play havoc with the Constitution. Checks and balances are must along with separation of powers. On the issues of national importance, nation comes first. Let us not give the wrong signals to the world. Ours is one of the best constitution with the parliamentary system of government. I would also like to bring to your notice that in the final draft of our constitution, many changes were made abruptly, and Dr. Ambedkar was very irritated, and he filed his dissent also, and ultimately he had to say that this is not the constitution, these are not the views, these are not the reviews which were expressed by me. I would like to keep away from controversy. Of course, these are my views. Many inevitable changes are required in our constitution if we have to stand the test of time. One nation, one constitution, one flag, one law. I'm not talking about personal laws. Strict law against people spreading communal hatred, violence, no religious conversion, reservations on the basis of economic status, no mob lynching, no recital of preamble or any other means to prove your patriotism. Let us learn from United States of America. Indians are Indians everywhere. Everyone needs to merge their identity. Let us become the melting pot like America. No special status to northeastern states. Economic packages, okay. My friends, again, this is a very sensitive point which I thought I should bring it to your notice. People who say that they are not feeling safe in this country, people, you know I'm referring to whom? People who say that they are not feeling safe in this country should be given choice to leave the country because they made the name, fame, and money in India, and now they want to spread communal hatred. Capital punishment for rape convicts, no appeal. I am staunchly in favor of implementation of National Judicial Appointment Commission. Collegium system has not worked with many, has not worked in India. It has got many lapses. On all the issues of national importance, hearing by full bench of more than 15 judges. I see only few selected judges on the bench for hearing. Others are bypassed or overlooked for the reasons best known to you and me. No appointment of any retired Chief Justice or any judges to any house or gubernatorial post. Many of the clauses, articles, provisions needs to be redefined, like the basic structure and most important, what's now I would like to pose a question to all of you. What serves liberty best? What serves liberty best by way of restriction of authority? My friends, this is something out of the topic, but I would like to tell you, out of 156 countries, out of 156 countries in the world where the happiness survey was conducted, was done, our country is at the number 140. There are only two countries in the world where they have the Ministry of Happiness. One is Bhutan, Himalayan Kingdom, Bhutan, and other is United Arab Emirates. Talking of our country, most of the time, violation and abridgment of fundamental rights is at the hands of law enforcement agencies. In the present, the gross violation of fundamental rights of freedom of speech and press, the fourth estate. I am referring to the case of Arnab Goswami, the editor of the Republic. State government of Maharashtra in general, and in particular, the state home ministry tried to tamper with the rights of free speech and press. I am also sometimes I wonder our Mumbai, our Mumbai being the financial capital of the country and the epicenter of our economy, apart from being the largest contributor to the national exchequer, what specific privileges and rights do we really enjoy? In the present turbulent time, our patience is tested. We are really very, very lucky. Again, these are my views, but I see the strong leadership at the center. And again, this is my view. Our country is in the safe hands. When you will think of other way, you will get jitters. Our expectations from the government is too much. In the present testing time, nation comes first. We must take into consideration the ground realities and facts. We can always learn from Germany. We can always learn from Germany, who spends 60% of its GDP on its people. Though the gap between the have and have nots has widened as we need to come out from this economic slowdown. I also fear after this COVID situation, we overcome this situation, COVID-19 pandemics, there will be a worldwide depression of 1929 type. Of, I expect some hot steps and drastic revolution under the given circumstances. When we are talking about the right of the workers, migrant workers, I think government has done whatever it could do. The government, when they were migrated to their respective states, the government, the central government paid 80, met with the 85% of their expenses, and 15% was met by the state governments, respective state governments. So I don't see anything wrong. It is not now to alter the basic structure of the constitution or tampered with the preamble. That so far has not been done. Fundamental rights of the migrant workers are taken well care. The challenges faced by the government and its ability and skills to tackle the problem should be hailed. We all are victim of time and circumstances. Taking into consideration the felt necessities of time, I don't think any fundamental rights are violated or abridged. In the time of crisis, nation comes first, and not the party politics, clash of ideologies, groupism, communal hatred. If you are not loyal to your country, to your nation, then you are undoubtedly traitor. If you are not loyal to your country and your nation, you are undoubtedly traitor. Please take me in the right perspective. Now, my friends, I would like to do a critical evaluation of our constitution and the violation of fundamental rights. Attempts were made to destroy the very basic structure of our constitution, setting aside all the democratic norms. I have chosen the following 3 to 4 landmark cases of the apex court. Minerva Mills versus Union of India of 1980, where the judgment was 4-1. The notorious parliament, now I am speaking retrospectively, the notorious parliament under the leadership of the then Prime Minister with actual malice made an attempt to take away the power of judicial review from the apex court through the monstrous 39th Constitutional Amendment Act of 1975. The Parliament inserted Nationalization Act of 1974 into the ninth schedule. The villain, the murderer was the then government of India, and the person behind all this thing was the then law minister. I would not like to name him again. The chief architect of 42nd Amendment. The dissent of Justice P.N. Bhagwati kept the democracy alive by not going with the majority. The litmus test of the court was of basic structure, but none of the judges could arrive at a consensus that what the basic structure is. Now, the court took the liberty to redefine Golaknath case. Parliament failed in its attempt to force judiciary to surrender its supremacy. The rest is history. Golaknath versus State of Punjab, 1967 case. The major judgment was 6 by 5. Chief Justice Subba Rao, it dealt with Article 368, provisions related to the amendment of the Constitution. It redefined Article 368. The court referred to Article 245, 246, 248. The court held that the amending power and the legislative powers of the parliament were essentially the same. Therefore, any amendment of the Constitution must be deemed law as understood in Article 13, Clause 2. The court warned the parliament in Golaknath case, the court warned the parliament that it cannot enter the prohibited area and undo or destroy the basic structure. Golaknath case was a tight blow to the Congress party. People of India were not ready to accept the forced parliamentary supremacy. People of India were not ready to accept the forced parliamentary supremacy. Democracy at last survived. My friends, Kesavananda Bharati versus State of Kerala and others, 1973 judgment can be found in 11 separate judgments, full bench of 13 judges. The seminal concept of the basic structure of the Constitution gained recognition in the majority verdict. But what is the basic structure? There was no consensus. What is the basic structure? There was no consensus in the Kesavananda Bharati case. As some of the judges were in the mood to please the government, and to remain in their good books, some were very more sensitive and did not allow the lamp of justice to go out in darkness. They secured their place in history. Few of them remained neutral as they were not ready to take the risk. Anticipating future should be bright. One more attempt to kill the democracy and to set aside the democratic norms proved futile. Just 10 minutes, my friends. There is a very, very famous case, which has sensitized human rights activists, which took place in 1995. That is Paramjit Kaur versus State of Punjab and others. The case will give you jitters. It was a tight blow to the law enforcement agencies. High time, the court said, it is high time policing the police by handcuffing them. It was shame on the police department of the state of Punjab after blinding of the Bhagalpur under trial prisoners. The cold-blooded murder of Jaswant Singh Khalra, the human rights activist, by the police to third and fourth degree torture can never ever be forgotten. The Punjab police played the role of General Dyer, what happened in 1990 at Jallianwala Bagh. My friends, today, though we have signed the International Torture Convention, but we have not ratified so far. Shame on us. All the police officials responsible for the murder of Khalra should be hanged in public. My friends, now I would just like to tell you something. If you read Corporate Chanakya, beautifully it has been mentioned, and this applies to us also. I choose my friends for their good look. I choose my acquaintance for their good character, and I choose my enemies for their good intellect. And lastly, my friends, no man no man can be grateful at the cost of his honor. No woman can be grateful at the cost of her chastity, and no nation can be grateful at the cost of its liberty. Thank you very much for your patience hearing. Thank you very much. Hello. Hello, am I audible? Hello. Hello. Rasmi, થઈ ગયું મારું લેક્ચર. કેમ હવે આમાં જવાનું? ના, મેં કીધું. Hello, am I audible?
Hello,
તો મેં આ બોલ્યું એ નહીં સંભળાયું. Hello. 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 Rasmi. Hello, can you hear me? એટલે મારું લેક્ચર તો હજી સંભળાનું હશે ને આ લોકોને?
hello. Everyone can see and hear you. You are on the show. ઈ લોકોનું mute છે, તારું ચાલુ છે.
Hello, can you hear me? I have done with my lecture and I would like to take any questions if you have. I have done with my lecture, with my talk, and I am ready to take any questions if you have. Feel free to correct me. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Hello. Sir, Nishikant sir is joining in some
Am
time,
I
sir. There will be a
audible?
question
Can you
answer
hear
round.
me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, you are audible, sir.
Ganesh,
Yes, ma'am.
Ganesh,
Yes, ma'am.
type કરી નાખ અહીંયા
શું છે પ્રોબ્લેમ?
મેસેજમાં ચેટમાં. Ma'am, please use your camera. Ganesh,
मैम आप एक बार लीव करके ज्वाइन कीजिए
Ganesh,
ना मैम.
Ganesh જો આવે છે. Ganesh,
मैम आप लीव होके ज्वाइन कीजिए ना मैम एक बार.
Ganesh,
Sound का
your
issue
voice
होगा.
is not reaching us.
Hello.
1 second. Yeah. The session will be continuing. There is some technical issue, so please sorry.
Ganesh,
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Could you hear me my entire talk?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions? I would be glad to answer it. Feel free to correct me also.
Okay, sir. Let me see, sir. Sir, there are no questions till now.
Okay.
Sir, if there will be a question, it will
Mm-hmm.
be reflecting in the live comments.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So if there are no questions, then most of you agree with me.
Yes, sir.
Some of you agree with part, some of you agree with me.
1 second, sir. There is a question, sir. I will be displaying on the stream, sir. 1 second.
Huh.
Sir, this is on question, sir.
Hmm.
So please answer me.
Hello.
Sir, the question is reflecting on the screen. So you can read it and answer the question, sir. So the question is, with this, I would like to ask, can there will be any amendments to Constitution due to the COVID-19 on issue of liberty or in the preamble of the Constitution? So this is one
There,
question.
there can be amendment in the constitution, but that will have nothing to do with the liberty, right? Because there will be no violation of any fundamental rights or liberties, but then there will be harsh steps which government may take perhaps, and government will be left with no alternative but to come out with the amendment after taking into confidence the different states government.
Thank you, sir. And sir, there are no questions more. So, sir, if there will be
So
question, I
thank
will be sharing you.
please. Thank you very much, Kurade sir, IAS, all ma'am, Malcolm ma'am, and everybody for giving me this opportunity to express my views. And at times I was a bit harsh, at times I was a bit little angry, but then I tried my best to see that my rational matches with my logic. Thank you very much. Okay. Hello. Thank you very much. At times I was a bit harsh, at times I was a bit little angry, but then I tried my best to see that I cannot properly. Your voice is not clear.
Sir, there is one more question
Huh?
that goes like this.
Hmm.
Sir, why are the people of India not
Hmm.
uploading the concept of equality and justice in true spirit?
Again, you should go to the bed of Dr. Ambedkar, and there is, because we are not spending the substantial amount of our GDP on the people of India. Like I gave you the example of Germany. Germany is spending 60% of GDP on the people of India.
And last question for the day, sir. How important is to know or be acquainted with the law terms for the person of any field other apart from law, and as if it is every next person to be educated about the at least basic system of law.
Yes, this is very important. Basic uh, facets of law you must know. Everybody must be aware of it, because you lose so many things in ignorance. So basic facets, basic concepts of law, I think it should be, people should be aware of it. What are your rights, what are your duties, etc., and how nobody can abridge your rights. You have to be a vigilant citizen. Okay. And very few people know about the constitution. Most of them are just ignorant. But if you, my advice to you would be, if you really go to the debates of the Constitutional Assembly, you will learn so many things. And I have mentioned in my talk that we have not done justice to Dr. Ambedkar.
Thank you very much, sir, for your points. You were very fantastic. You have put forward everything and so many
Mm-hmm.
case laws.
Mm-hmm.
I have gone through all the chats, people across India, West
Mm-hmm.
Bengal, I mean, from the north till south, eastern part to western part of India. They enjoyed your session. They learned a lot. After a long time, they have seen a lawyer with some small stories, taking law into the consideration, giving them moral stories. It was fantabulous, sir.
Yeah,
Once
one thing I
again,
would like
on
to, yeah, one thing I would like to
yes,
say, can I?
yes, sir, please.
When I was doing my PhD, I took 7.5 years and I interviewed 600 legal luminaries of both the countries. And I have also met Justice Jagmohan Lal Sinha, who gave the Allahabad High Court judgment. I have met Justice Y.V. Chandrachud. I have met Justice P.N. Bhagwati. And one very good trend, I must also admit that, which I see in present Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, is most of the judgments of his father, he is overruling it. He is correcting the wrong done by his father, Y.V. Chandrachud. So that is a really healthy trend. And I think he, out of all the judges, DYC, Dhananjay Y. Chandrachud and Rohinton Nariman are the two best intellectual judges in our Supreme Court.
Oh my God, such a noble guideline to all of us, sir. Sir, indeed, it is really pleasure listening you. We learn a lot about law today, and once again, on behalf of DTSS Law College, IA Thane branch, and all my participants. Sir, we are really, there is no words to thank you, sir, because so consistently you have taken, everything into consideration, and you took all the questions and you have explained their queries. Sir, thank you very, very much. And once again, all my participants, please follow all the norms. During COVID period, there is a norms by the
Okay.
government very whereby you have to be at home, you be safe, maintain the social distancing, and with these notes, once again, Kaushik sir, your gracious presence made a day for us, and we will be remembering you forever and ever. Thank you once again, and we are also thankful to Kurade sir for making such platform. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, 1 second. One second. Just before I close, I would like to recite something. Woods are deep, dark, and lovely. Woods are deep, dark, and lovely. But I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep. Thank you very much.
Oh wow, great. And sir, your message I have already forwarded them all the participant what you have
Right.
given to. Thank you, sir. Thank
Yeah.
you, sir. Bye, sir.
My
Take care,
pleasure.
sir.
Bye.
Bye,
Thank
bye,
you
bye.
very much.